This video is going to be a longer and quite thought-provoking video today, so bear with me. As we celebrate Christmas Eve, Christmas Day for some worldwide, I couldn't think of a better time to do this. I won't take up much of your time, so first, let me express my sincerest gratitudes to everyone who has stopped by the channel this year. You all have given my life a new meaning and new purpose and have really helped propel me in the direction I want to go. I'm not at that final destination just yet, but we're well on our way. Finally, thank you for all of your support this year. I started off doing gaming content in 2019 and primarily stuck with Call of Duty with Pokemon as my secondary focus. While this channel did break 100 subscribers last December, moving over to anime-only content has allowed me to put everything I have into my content and channel. The goal this year was to hit 250 subscribers by the end of the year. We'll fall short of that goal, but not by too much. As I write this, we're sitting at 199 and the Patreon and reward tiers are all set and ready for launch at 200 like I promised. So again, thank you everyone. Have a Merry Christmas and let's get this show on the road. In case you can't tell, I do feel a lot better. Okay, so what was Lost Christmas in the anime Guilty Crown? And how could we see something similar? As human beings, we're under the impression we're untouchable. That this little blue marble we call home will keep us safe from otherworldly harm. A common thought among many people, but horribly flawed. In my since-removed VV video, I talked about the themes present in the anime VV Fluoride Eyes song and the threat that AI pose to humanity if we're not careful. Today, I'm going to talk about a different, but just as real, threat. Life on Earth is anything but secure and safe. Think about it. Asteroids, meteors, solar flares, even black holes. But what if I told you there was one more threat that we aren't taking seriously? What if I told you we could potentially see a repeat of this? First, let's start with what and how it was before I explain how it could happen in our world too. How did Lost Christmas start and what is it? Lost Christmas is the basis to the story of the anime and manga Guilty Crown. We've all heard tales of meteorites and the destruction they can cause, right? Remember the February 2013 Chelyabinsk meteorite? This meteorite exploded over a city in northern Russia, injuring over 1,000 people and causing some hefty damage to the city. It's no secret that these things hit Earth all the time, but where do they come from? The far reaches of the universe? Some foreign piece of space debris from a cosmic collision, or is it something from our own galactic neighborhood? Most of the time, it doesn't matter. The same goes for the meteorite found by Mana Oma at the start of the anime Guilty Crown. However, inside this meteorite harbored an incredibly lethal and highly infectious virus. Mana became Patient Zero, the first to become infected with the virus. It was inside of her this foreign entity resided and slowly turned her insane. Take the scene between Mana and Chu where Mana eerily suggests they get married and have children, her eyes red as rubies. It wasn't inherently obvious Mana was sick up until this turning point and one other in the anime. It wasn't just Mana though. She pulled her brother, Shu, into the fray as well as their friend Triton, aka Guy. This would set forth a series of irreversible events and consequences that would plunge the world into complete chaos. The second turning point of the early story to Guilty Crown was in this scene in the church, December 24th, 2029. Triton, or Guy, is already aware that Mana isn't right and she's inherently crazy at this point. However, he tries to warn Shu, only to find Mana one step ahead of him, waiting at the church where they were supposed to meet. She brings a gift with her, it also being testament to the chaotic personality that Mana had become. Inside was a pistol with ammo. At this point, Mana had lost total control of herself and tells Guy to shoot the star on the tree, but as he reluctantly does so, the bullet ricochets and hits Guy when Shu arrives to find him in a pool of blood. Mana using his blood for lipstick. Some of you may be asking, can a virus really do something like this? The human body can be strange and is already quite complex as is. Add in the fact that you have all of these different personalities and billions of people across the globe, yeah, it's entirely possible. Especially with a foreign virus that no one knows a thing about. Think about it like this. Have you ever had a high fever and thought you could hear that voice inside your head, repeating words and phrases that make no sense? What about moments where you're simply too ill to make rational decisions and you feel like you're losing your mind? There's your answer. One giant melting pot of chaos and destruction. The final build-up to the events of Lost Christmas shook the world and thrust Shu into the driver's seat of a brand new world, filled with uncertainty and fear. Mana wanted to repopulate the world with their genes. Take it, Shu. Let's repopulate the world with our genes. Realizing she had lost her mind, she reached out to Shu for help, but Shu pulled back, watching as her hair crystallized before his eyes. Shu left Mana out in the cold, her last attempt at salvation. Mana was crazy, and Shu knew it. As she was absorbed in her own sorrow and grief, Mana unleashed what would become known as the Apocalypse Virus, struggling just to hold herself together. Through her own crazed power and torment, she destroyed herself, unleashing a virus unlike anything ever seen. What was the Apocalypse Virus? This virus, normally harmless, could be activated via genomic resonance. The genome of the virus and the genome of the human body would resonate to activate the virus. There were 4 stages. The first 2 stages materialized the mind in the form of a void, the manifestation of one's heart as an object or weapon. In the 3rd stage, small crystal-like protrusions would form along the surface of the skin. In the 4th stage, crystalline structures would form on the body of the infected individual that continue to spread. The body is completely destroyed, crystallized, in the final stage. The amino acids inside the meteorite that harbored the virus are not necessarily all that far-fetched, at all. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, which make up approximately 20% of the human body. Needless to say, amino acids are incredibly important in aiding certain biological processes. So what exactly happens when amino acids are altered? Well, a change in gene sequence can cause such an alteration. The structure and function of the polypeptide chain is altered when one of these occurs, which in turn affects the protein itself. Could a certain alteration create something on the level of the Apocalypse Virus? There's no telling. However, I'll tell you what's interesting about this. The Apocalypse Virus seems to be based off a process called bioresonance. Basically, the idea that unhealthy cells and organs emit altered electromagnetic waves. These altered waves can cause disease. Obviously, a lot of effort and research went into the creation of such a fictional virus, but is it still entirely possible? Potentially. Furthermore, I'd like to share a brief theory on how this virus could have been activated in Mana. As we age, our cells divide and grow old. However, when we're young, the body can efficiently flush these old, damaged senescent cells out. As we grow older, these cells begin to pile up in the body, causing us to age. My theory is that once Mana contracted the virus initially, it caused some kind of internal damage to her cells, which in turn caused a genomic resonance, sparking the virus into action. Maybe the virus caused some kind of pile up of these damaged cells in her body. Everyone has a void. This leads me to think that even after Mana destroyed herself, the virus quite literally spread globally, infecting the world's population. Perhaps it wasn't the initial intrusion of the virus into Mana that caused Lost Christmas, though. What if it was something else? What if there was already a genomic resonance occurring within her? When you examine the lustrous feelings she developed during the incubation period of the virus, before it presents itself, is it not logical to surmise that it could have been these harbored feelings she had towards Shu and Guy? Could it have been an overexpression of these feelings or endorphins? Hormones could also play a big role that kickstarted the virus. If Inori was really only meant to be a vessel and doesn't retain traits and qualities that make her a unique personality, then could we also say that because Shu fell in love with Inori and her feminine instinct to protect him, that Mana's overexpressed feelings are what triggered the virus's activation? Lost Christmas? Are they the same, or are they different in a familial sense? So, could this happen today, and if it could, how? I touched on this briefly at the beginning of the video where I discussed meteor and celestial object impacts with Earth. Let's expand upon that now. It doesn't take much to make us sick. We know this. With our ever-increasing focus on searching for life beyond our planet, what happens when we find something? Or it finds us? Life comes in all shapes and sizes, from microbes to fungi to plants, animals, and even humanity itself. Think about how unique we are. What things trigger the things we do? What causes us to feel the things we do? Pleasure, excitement, pain? Now, think about how vast the universe is and what all could be out there we don't even know about yet. Just in the last year alone, we believe to have discovered potential life in the atmosphere of Venus. It likely wouldn't get more complex in microbial level, but it could be unlike anything we've seen before. Think about what could happen if we sent a craft, it flew into Venus's clouds and picked something up, bringing it back home to Earth. No one would have immunity to something like that, so could a nearly decade-long pandemic occur in this sense? Where it's just wave after wave and the threat is always there? Maybe. There's no easy answer to some of these questions, and Venus is but one example. What we know is that the universe is a big place, and we might not be alone. Do we see something like the apocalypse virus hitch a ride on a meteor and slam into Earth? There's certainly the possibility of some kind of microbial life such as a virus, but something that destroys the body completely? You've got me there. Guilty Crown is a fictional story, but it's also a what-if scenario. People already don't like the world governments and their bureaucratic nonsense, but remember, in the anime, the Japanese government established a GHQ to help fight the virus and develop treatment. But after they turned Japan into a ghost town, people said enough, and thus Funeral Parlor was born. I have an entire other video planned on the similarities between Guilty Crown's pandemic and our current COVID-19 pandemic, so I won't touch on that much further here. Long story short, an event such as Lost Christmas is entirely possible, considering the complexity between humans and things such as viruses. Viruses constantly mutate and evolve, which could be another feasible theory as to Mana in Lost Christmas. Our bodies can already produce crystals. Think kidney stones, a buildup of those crystals. So the idea that something can hijack that process, not the formation of kidney stones, but of crystals, isn't necessarily off the table because we simply don't know what we could be dealing with. What do you think? Possible or too far-fetched? As we celebrate Christmas Eve today and Christmas tomorrow, maybe it's time we think about these kinds of things. The James Webb Telescope is set to launch very soon, if not already, which will allow us to observe the universe like never before. What happens when we find something? And with new COVID lockdowns, also fresh off the printer, is an event such as Lost Christmas starting to feel a little too close for comfort?